Nothing like a nice, smoky, smoldering, sparky electrical fire to start your Saturday morning. You have one of those and woo-wee, you know you're having fun. I just had a lot of fun this morning. And it's like teachable moments, because these are mistakes that I made. I'm going to save you guys in the comments all the trouble. When something is done on your car, when somebody else does anything on one of your cars, it's your responsibility, you yourself, to make sure that A, it's done correctly, and B, it's done to your specifications. And if you see something you don't like, it's your responsibility to fix it or have it fixed, regardless. I failed on a lot of these counts. So I just had an electrical fire with Slaghammer. This was fun. I knew things weren't right. I knew things weren't the way I wanted them to be, but I was lazy because I've got so many things going on. I was lazy and I let them go. I was like, okay, it'll be fine. No, it's not always fine. My fault. When I saw things I didn't like, I should have fixed them. So let's go through the anatomy of an electrical fire and show you what happened here and how you need to avoid a problem like this. Because I tell you what, if this car had an actual interior, it's all metal inside. But if this car had an interior, there's just no way. This thing would have gone up in flames, period, in the end. So let's show you what happened. The alternator, so I started the engine and it's running, and then I noticed it started breaking up and it stalled. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. So right away I see smoke coming from around the wheel well and up underneath the dashboard. So I ripped the hood open or pull the nose forward, and I noticed right away that the alternator was smoking like crazy. It was just smoke pouring out of it. Now, alternators are occasionally known to have internal shorts, and that's why every charging system has a fusible link in it. All right, now on General Motors cars, it's off the starter where the battery wire bolts to the starter. The hot wire bolts to the starter. Well, the wire that feeds the rest of the car, there's two of them. There's one that feeds the rest of the car, and then one that goes to the charging system. The one that goes to the charging system is fusible linked there. On Chryslers, the wire for the charging system, the fusible link for the charging system, is right near the bulkhead connector. So this isn't a stock car, so I can't really show you how it would be. But the wire would go from here on the alternator to the firewall, and then once it got to the firewall and it went inside the car, there'll be a fusible link there. And a fusible link is a wire that is intended to burn up when there's a short. Alternators occasionally develop internal shorts, and so that's why a fusible link of some sort is essential. I never even checked to see if there was a fusible link on this car. My fault. Okay. So once I saw what was going on, I went to rip wires off, couldn't do it. So I had to run to the toolbox, grab a pair of wire cutters, and cut the wire. So now this is the wire, this is the hot wire that's going to feed the rest of the car. So the wiring goes from the battery to the starter, from the starter to this wire, and then this wire to the alternator. So our first lesson learned here is we need some sort of fusible link. Even a breaker, even a circuit breaker would be okay, but we need some kind of fusible link between the alternator and the rest of the charging system. All right, so that's first lesson. The second lesson is never make wires longer than is absolutely necessary. The more wire you have, the more trouble you can get into. So on this particular car, this circuit should be able to go from here. Let's go around the other side of the car. To here. I've already taken the wires off. All right, but these are the wires that go to the starter, and here is that wire that goes to the alternator. And you can see it's all nice and, yeah, okay? So you would think that the correct way to run this wire would be from here over the back of the engine and then to right here. It's probably a 4-foot length altogether by the time you get done. But sometimes these wiring jobs get a little weird. So here we have this wire, and it goes into the firewall. Can you see where it goes in the firewall? Yeah, okay. And then from inside the firewall, here it is coming through, okay, and it passes across. Let me go to the other side of the car. And here is where it exits, right here. And then from here, it goes back out, nice and toasty, back out, tucked in along the frame rail, under the motor mount, and then up to here. So we've got a pretty long path from here to here, okay, through the inside of the car. All right, don't do that. Don't do that. Wire your cars with as short a distance as possible with the wiring. I mean, don't go berserk, right? But leave yourself a little slack, but keep the wiring as short as possible. Don't go through paths that it doesn't have to go, because the further that wire is, the more damage it can cause. So here's one of the unique situations here, is that where this wire runs inside the frame rail, it's up against the fuel line. Now in this case it's a braided steel fuel line, so not much of a chance of it burning through, but this meeting up with the fuel line, if this was rubber or even steel, it could have arced through. Well, you know, I'm going to tell you what could happen there. So fusible link first. Shortest distance between 2 points is your best way to wire. And then here's one. I see a lot of guys like to bundle their wiring together tightly, and they use zip ties. They'll use a zip tie every like 6 inches, bundling it all tight, right? It doesn't have to be bundled that tight. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to having a failure in one circuit that's going to affect every other circuit. So what we have here now is our ignition wiring, and the rest of the charging system wiring was all zip tied together. Here's a Milty zip tie right there, okay? And then once we come inside the car, we have this other wiring all together with this, and nice and melty, because zip ties everywhere. So yes, first, don't route your wiring through unnecessary places where all it does is just loop through the car like that. And when you do, don't bundle it up tightly with every other freaking wire in the car. Important lessons. I could keep going. Yes, ultimately all of this is my fault, and I don't spread the blame anyplace else, because I knew how it should be done. I didn't really dig into it to see, okay, what exactly is going on here? Okay, there's a wire here and there's a wire here, but why are they there? I was lazy, and I didn't bother looking into it. I didn't really know why that wire was run through the inside. My car, I should know. I should have checked, and I should have corrected these issues. I didn't. So, like I said, I'm not trying to pass blame off on anybody or say, this was done badly, or somebody's bad, right? No, nothing like that at all. I take 100% responsibility for this. It's my car, and I should have either done it myself, or I should have checked to make sure that everything was done the way it should be done. All right, so now I guess I'll spend the rest of the day rewiring the car. I hope you got something out of that. I'll see you tomorrow.